Our name may have changed, but our commitment to advancing your business with unparalleled baking solutions and expertise never will.
Hello, I'm Don Eckert. I'm a Caravan Ingredients Technical Service Representative, and I'm here to talk to you about sizes and shapes of breads. As you can see on this table here, we start with long breads. Breads come in rounds, they come in little tiny rounds, they come in more of traditional loaf shapes, flat breads, stubbies, and some of them just look a little bit strange. Well, one of the things that I look at in the different sizes and shapes of bread is I look at the crust to crumb ratio. How much crust is going to be present and how much crumb is going to be present. And that dictates pretty much what your size is going to be. The longer, thinner pieces like the baguettes down at the end of the table are going to have a lot more crust than they have crumb, which is a preference to some consumers. The more traditional loaf types and the round breads have a lot more interior than they have exterior crust. And again, some people prefer those textures over the other. These are the dough pieces that have been resting on the bench. After mixing, we scaled them and rounded them. Now we're ready to form them into the finished loaf sizes and shapes. First of all, starting with the round bread, just a matter of re-rounding it, and you should always re-round the bread. Coming off the initial round, it doesn't have the strength and the final form that it needs to really become a quality loaf of bread. Next, we'll move into the baguette, which usually I just fold over and block the ends just shortly. Work the entire length of the dough piece and then roll it out to finished length. If your dough's a little bit tight, which this one isn't, but you might have to actually put an intermediate rest in there and go back and just finish stretching that loaf. But this one's pretty good to go. The next one would be just your standard loaf, the longer one. Which is just rolled and blocked. One of my favorite ones is to roll a taper. With this one, you're pulling from the outside to form the points, and you're allowing the center of it to actually come into a bundle, and then just finish off the points and finish the seam on the bottom to come out with a loaf that looks like that. Okay, the next one we're going to do is the scissor cut roll, which is called an epi. It starts out just about the same as the regular loaf that we just finished. We're going to roll it out to length. And once we get that done, prior to proofing, we're going to go back with a pair of scissors and we're going to cut and alternately lay out each individual roll. What I'm going to demonstrate now is how to make the loaf called the fougasse, which is the flat one with the decorated cuts. So if you look at the workbench here, we start out with just a flat piece of bread, take the rolling pin to it, roll it off into an oblong. This can be pretty much any size you want. You can make them big, you can make them small, but traditionally they're oblong. Once we get that rolled out, we're going to take a very sharp knife and we're going to make some cuts. Just make it a decorative cut. This one will kind of do kind of a weak cut. And then using your hands, just pull it apart to expose that surface area. This may be a good time to go into why we do this type of bread. One of the things that we're doing is we're trying to expose as much crust as possible so that we accelerate the moisture loss from the interior of the crumb. That being said, these various sizes and shapes of bread on the table, because of the differences, are going to bake differently, they're going to eat differently, they're going to have different textures and mouthfeels. Again, keep in mind that all these shapes and sizes here on the bench are all made from one dough. By making them in various sizes, you're able to market a bunch of different products without having to do a bunch of additional mixes back in the back room of your bakeries. You're able to satisfy a lot of palates and a lot of consumer expectations, again, just by scaling one dough.